We are live. I am so excited for this webinar tonight. I'm Dr. Cassie, if I haven't met you yet, but we are doing the Perfect Storm webinar tonight. And this is a story of how stress adds up. Now, not in the mind like we think, but more in the nervous system. So from birth to the bedtime battles, from sensory meltdowns to chronic illness, many kids today are stuck in overdrive. And this workshop is about uncovering the real reason why and how you can help your child find calm and clarity and healing from the inside out. So if you're on tonight or you're watching this later, it probably means something. And there's usually when a parent is on one of these calls, there's almost like this unsettling feeling that you have that either you've been doing and trying everything that you know how to do, from therapies to diet changes to supplements to doctor visits to maybe even trying to get what's called an IEP. And for those of you that don't know what that is, it stands for an individualized education plan. So it's a legal document that clearly defines like how a school plans to meet a child's unique educational needs because of a disability. And so if you're listening and you don't realize that families have to go through that, they do, like trying to get one of those so that their kid can get the support that they need at school. Or maybe you're even just looking for a diagnosis, or you've just received one, or you've had one for a while for your kid. But here's the thing, even with all of this stuff, the truth is that your child is still struggling. And deep down in your gut, you are knowing like there has to be more to the story than this. And so I want you to know that tonight, you're right. There is. And you're not alone in this. So if you're watching, I want you to just say, hey, like if you're watching live, just say, hey, in the link. I can see the link. I can't see you. I can only see the amount of people watching. But if you want to say hey in the link, and just let us know, like, even perhaps like you're not alone and you feel those things that I'm talking about. Because if you're a parent on here that's like, you've been handed 12 different diagnoses, you've tried every diet, every supplement, and you're still not quite seeing the progress in your child, you are not alone. And it's not your fault. You've been treating the symptoms, or been taught to treat the symptoms, or gone to doctors where they treat the symptoms, but the missing link is the storm that is underneath. So that is what we are going to talk about today, because the storm is real. You can see all of the statistics there right now. 1 in 36 children is now diagnosed with autism. 1 in 6 kids have a developmental delay. 1 in 5 kids is diagnosed with ADHD. 1 in 2 children now has a chronic health condition. And the numbers for anxiety, for sleep issues, for sensory processing challenges, gut issues, they are rising faster than they ever have been. But behind every single one of those statistics is a story, a family, a mom, a child doing their best in this world, but the world is pushing their nervous system past the edge. And that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the storm. So let's meet what a storm kiddo is. We call them storm kids because they've had stress and interference like piled on since the very beginning. Because you can see right there, but I'm going to first just walk us through a modern child, like the story of how a modern child was brought into this world and what it looks like. let's say they were born via C-section or after an induction, or they were born with forceps or vacuum, and they spent some time in the NICU. They didn't nurse easily. They had colic. They struggled with reflux and eczema or constipation as babies. They never really slept through the night. They hit some of their milestones late. And then came the meltdowns, the sensory issues, the delays in speech or fine motor or emotional regulation. They're not broken, but their bodies, they are overwhelmed. And you can see their bodies, then now their nervous system is stuck in this go, 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 go survival mode. And from the outside, we can be like, oh, they're just a wild kid or a sensitive kid or a picky eater, or they're just delayed. And we get these labels from the world. And most people with these labels, they just keep treating pieces, the guts, the speech, the behavior, but they never ask, what's the one system connecting it all together? The system is doing exactly what it was wired to do, and that is to survive. But we see something deeper. We see a child who never got a chance to fully settle, to adapt, and regulate from the very beginning. It's overwhelmed. It's so much happening to their little bodies at such a young age that their nervous system has no other option but to go into a storm. So what creates this storm? Before we get into this, let's rewind. Before the meltdowns, before there was anxiety, before constant immune issues, before the picky eating, before the delayed speech or the constant just sensory overload that happens, we go all the way back to the beginning. That is with the 3 T's that you see right there. What creates the storm? At the root of every perfect storm case, we almost always find a combination of what we call the 3 T's: trauma, toxins, and thoughts. Thoughts are like emotional stress. And it almost always starts with birth trauma. A moment most parents, you were never told, could affect your child's health and development. So let's talk about birth. You think about birth, this is meant to be the most beautifully orchestrated neurological event ever. More neurological than you think. It's not just like a baby comes out into the world, the end. It's mom and baby's nervous systems beautifully orchestrated into the world. But today, it often looks more like a medical emergency than anything else. We have more and more interventions like C-sections, inductions, vacuum or forceps, emergency NICU stays, cord complications, long labors, or even super fast traumatic birth. Now listen, if you know me, if you don't know me, there is no blame or shame if you have had any of those things. It's about understanding. So if you have gone through those things, gosh, I'm so glad you're here. And I'm so glad you're listening, because you can understand what those things can do to not only yourself, but more importantly, what happens to your baby. Because those early moments, they matter for a child. They shape how the nervous system then begins to function here on out for the rest of their life. So the nervous system. So what happens to the nervous system when this goes on? The nervous system is the body's command center. So at birth, it's like this blank chalkboard for your baby, ready to write the blueprint for how your child's going to grow, how they're going to develop, how they're going to digest, how they're going to move, how they're going to sleep, how they're going to process the world around them. So when there's trauma, during birth. So that means like twisting, pulling, pressing on the baby's pressure on their neck and their spine. It can create a subluxation. And a subluxation is a neurological stress point that alters the messages from the brain to the body. It's that misalignment in the spine. What happens though is that the body gets stuck in survival mode. So then the body doesn't feel safe. It is on high alert. It is gas pedal straight to the ground of their nervous system. And there's no break whatsoever. And the longer that storm brews on the inside, the harder it is for a child to calm, to adapt, and to heal. And this is not just my opinion. Science backs this up. It's in the top medical journal like Pediatrics and JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association. They have shown that birth interventions like C-sections, inductions, and NICU stays are linked to significantly higher rates of conditions like autism, ADHD, ADD, and asthma. But it does show that there's a clear, like that doesn't mean that causes it and that's where the diagnosis come from, but it shows a clear connection between early stress on a baby's body and future challenges. The body keeps the score, especially in the nervous system. So, can birth interventions lead to neurological stress? Yes, absolutely. When a child's nervous system experiences high stress during the first critical moments, it doesn't just go away. The stress can get locked into their system, setting the stage for overwhelm, for delays, for immune struggles, for trouble concentrating, you name it. The body is brilliant, but when it's overwhelmed, it doesn't get stronger. It gets stuck. And the earlier that stress starts, the deeper the roots. And here's the thing. Most parents, most medical doctors, we're trying to fix the branches, the behavior, the sleep, the gut. But if the root of it is neurological stress from the beginning, that is where we need to focus. The root cause of that overwhelm and gas pedal nervous system straight to the ground. So I'm not going to get super nerdy with you, but I'm going to get a little nerdy, but I'm going to make it so that you can understand. So now that we've talked about like, where does this storm start? Birth stress, trauma, nervous system overload. Let's now talk about like, how does this storm show up? Because it doesn't always look like you think. It doesn't always start with the diagnosis. Sometimes it starts with colic, constipation, a baby that never settles, a toddler that never sleeps, a child that just explodes over the smallest things or lives in this world that just feels like everything is too loud, too bright, too much. Now, these are the signs on the surface, but underneath, it's a nervous system crying out for help. So the 4 Ds of the neurological storm, I'm going to break them down. We call them the 4 Ds. These are the 4 ways that stress in the spine affects the brain and the body. So the first one, dyskinesia. Think of this like disrupted movement. So what this means is that there's a loss of healthy motion in the spine, often in the neck from birth traumas. So when the spine doesn't move properly, it begins to bend like a garden hose. The messages going from the brain to the body, they get kinked. The nervous system then has to start working harder just to do the basics. Then you have disafferentation. Think of this like distorted messages. This is what happens when the brain is constantly being bombarded with confusing signals from the body. Imagine your Wi-Fi, okay? Imagine your Wi-Fi cutting in and out while you're trying to make an important Zoom call. Like maybe you're watching right now, and if your Wi-Fi was going in or out, that would be terrible. That's what it's like for a kid who's stuck in a constant sensory storm. Because you'd probably get distracted, you'd probably get agitated, you'd get pretty anxious if you couldn't quite do what you wanted to do. The brain is receiving these mixed signals, and it's what makes it really hard for them to regulate their behavior, their emotions, and movement. Then you have dysautonomia. Think of this like they're stuck in this survival mode. So this is when the autonomic nervous system, so think automatic nervous system, think of your digestion. So this is the part of the nervous system that controls digestion. It controls your immune response. It controls sleep. It controls stress. Imagine all of that getting completely out of balance. This is where we think about gas pedal down and we think about brake. Most of these kids, they are stuck with the gas pedal all the way down. They're always on hyper, wired, restless, anxious, or sometimes they're so burnt out. They look tired. They look zoned out or shut down. But inside their system is still revving. And here's what you as parents may notice: meltdowns over small things, constipation or digestive problems, can't fall asleep or stay asleep, frequent sickness, ear infections or eczema, sleep delays, speech delays or trouble focusing. None of these things are random. They're all connected to a nervous system that is stuck in overdrive. And the last one is dyskinesis. Dyskinesis, think wired and tired. This is when the body starts reacting with like tension, shallow breathing, clenching, grinding, because the brain and body are misfiring with each other. This is the kid that's tense all the time. They can also be clumsy. They have headaches, trouble coordinating. They feel overwhelmed. And again, it's not behavioral. It's neurological. And this is why we have to look at the root to see, what does this look like? So how do we see this? This is Luis. It's one of my favorite stories to tell in our office. He came in, he was 12 years old, came in back in May of last year, and he came in with autism. He came in with ADD and hyperactivity. And if you've ever met Luis, he has the sweetest spirit. Like, he has the biggest eyes, the sweetest smile of all times. But when he comes to communicating, his vocabulary back in May was only 2 phrases. Are you happy? 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 Or I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. And it was the same things that he would repeat over and over and over again. And that was it, over and over. His mom has tried lots of things, therapies, diets, supplements, and it helped a little bit. But she knew, she was like, there has to be more to this story. So we took his first x-ray. I'm going to put my cursor on here so you guys can see. Right here, so we have the skull, and we have C1, the very first bone, and then we have the rest of his spine. There's a green line right here. That is where his spine should be. His spine is on the dashed blue lines that you see right there. That's not good. But the bigger part is right here. So this is the skull. This is C1. They are practically touching each other. What lives right inside of here on you and me and every single baby and child is the brainstem. So when your brainstem, the two bones in your neck, they were touching each other, completely closing it off. The brainstem is the part of the nervous system that controls speech, digestion, sleep, and focus. And when a spine looks like that, there is no way any of that can happen. So when it's under that kind of a pressure, like, of course, his entire nervous system was struggling. It was like his brain, the control center, and his entire body were stuck in a traffic jam from the very beginning. So fast forward, you guys see the newest x-ray from September 11th of last year. The big part is right here. Look at that space opening up. You can see his curve is starting to come back. He gained 11 degrees. His head still needs to come back. But we took another x-ray. Brainstem open. The structure changing. The pressure was coming off of his nervous system. And now, Luis, talking in full sentences. He says things like, how's your day? I'm going to school. Bye. See you later. And his mom wrote on, like, we do paperwork and we do exams and like, how's everything changing? Talking to him, his mom told me he still has some anxious days, but now there are whole days where he's completely calm, he's focused, and he's present. At his last review, his mom and I, we were sat in my office and just cried because he was talking and he was having a conversation and like being able to see him communicate. And it's not because he was fixed. We didn't fix him. We unlocked his nervous system and he finally was able to become free. Free to connect, free to express, and to just be Luis. Today he was in our office and we're doing Christmas in July for our supplement sale. And he came in and he just was yelling, Santa. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, and he has more of a vocabulary, more words. He was even making fun of the girl next to him and called her Goofy. And it was just really the sweetest thing. Because what we see on the surface, like with our own eyes, when we look at kids, the behavior, the sleep, the immune system stuff, it's just the warning lights. But the real issue is deeper. It's in the system that runs everything, the nervous system. And when we help that system calm down in their bodies, kids don't just improve, it unlocks who they're called to be. So let's move on. Where does all of this come from? Because a lot of times at this point, parents will ask me, just want to make sure the cursor's not in the middle because that's annoying. They'll ask me, if this is really like what's happening, why has no one told me this yet? Or, Dr. Cassie, like I have tried chiropractic, it doesn't work. It is not doing the things that you are talking about. It didn't really help. And listen, I get that. I really do. But I also want to be very honest with you when I'm speaking and where I'm speaking from, what we do is completely different. One, we are not guessing at anything. We are not cracking people's backs without and giving out just like general advice. We've gone through advanced pediatric training with the pediatric experience, part of PX Docs and the ICPA, the International Chiropractic Pediatric Association. We won't stop learning. We won't stop studying. We test to make sure we know exactly what's happening for each individual person. And when we read your children's x-rays and their exams, we read them like maps. Maps that help us navigate the most complex system in the world, which is the nervous system. So the power of a corrective care adjustment. We're not here to cure any autism, ADD, SBD, sensory processing disorders, or any condition, period. But what we are here to do is to help your child's nervous system do what it's designed to do, and that's to adapt, to regulate, and to heal. So when we give an adjustment, we're not just moving bones. We're releasing that pressure on the nervous system and clearing that interference from the communication pathways between the brain and the body. And when the nervous system gets clear, the body shifts. It has to. Kids don't just behave better, they connect. And they don't just talk more, they begin to express who they are. And it's not magic, it's neurology. So let's talk about Amaya. Amaya came into our office. She was 10 in that April 29th, 2024, her first x-ray that we did. And she was struggling with autism, trouble speaking, concentrating, and she was a loud snorer every night. Her mom was like, she snores so loud, and she's 10. We took her first x-ray, and what we saw and what you can see right here is a straight, stiff cervical spine. No curve, not a whole lot of movement, no room for the spinal cord to breathe. That kind of structure, like when you lose that curve, it creates constant tension in the nervous system. It makes it hard to focus. It makes it hard to stay calm. It makes it hard to communicate. It's like the brain and body are constantly misfiring. It goes back into the 4 Ds. And this is where it's like, no one knows why. No, we know exactly why. You can see it right there on the x-ray. So then almost a year later, we took x-rays in between, but this was after her corrective care of going through it. On March 19th of this year, we had taken another x-ray to see how she was doing. And wow, do you see that? It's still not where it needs to be yet, okay? But her neck has started to shift. That natural curve starting to come back. One that will support her brainstem. You can even see the spaces in between here from the brainstem and those 2 spaces, so much bigger, wider, opened up. Now it allows the communication to flow freely in her body. It's returning. Mom told us she's not getting angry as fast or as easy. Praise God. She's talking more and asking questions. She's more present. She's able to focus better on her homework and school. Her snoring drastically improved. Get this. Her snoring drastically improved during spring break, was completely gone. It stopped. Then when she went back to school, it started back up again. The stress. Stress has so much more of a power than we ever even realize. When she was less stressed, she didn't snore as much. Is her spine perfect? No, not yet. This is just 1 year in. And the truth is, for some kids, this is a forever journey. And we're not here to rush it. We're here to stay the course. Because when you get to the root cause, when you remove interference, the nervous system can finally breathe. And when that happens, watch kids unlock and come alive. So what about the research, Dr. Cassie? Because I know some of you, and there are always people like this, and it's okay. But is there evidence that chiropractic helps autism, ADHD, ADD, SPD? And listen, we can't promise diagnosis specific outcomes, but there's an entire body of case studies published by McCoy Press showing real, measurable improvements in children once subluxation, once those misalignments are reduced and the nervous system is restored. And what you'll read in those case studies mirrors what we see every day in our office. Kids sleeping through the night, regulating better, speaking clearly, playing, laughing, engaging. And listen, it's not a miracle. It's just the power of what happens when you remove interference so the body can do what it's always meant to do. When the nervous system gets clear, kids don't just improve. Remember, they unlock. They start sleeping. They start speaking. They start connecting. It's not magic. It's neurology. It's their body doing what it was designed to do in the first place. So I'm going to have some real talk for a minute because I want to pause here, and I'm going to talk to you not as a doctor, but as someone who just wants you to all feel seen. Because I know that this road is exhausting. Not from personal experience, but I've walked alongside our moms. And I know sitting in another appointment and walking out with more questions than answers is the norm. To try every diet, every supplement, every therapy, and still feel like there's something missing. To look at your child and being able to see like the potential is in there, but it's just like out of reach. And I want you to hear this loud and clear. You are not crazy. Your child is not broken, and you are not alone. And this is not about judgment. It is about understanding. Your child's nervous system is doing the best that it can with what it's been through. And now you finally have a way to do something about it. So your next steps, if you are watching as a guest and you are not a patient, or maybe you're watching from somewhere else, your first step is to get a consultation and x-rays for your kid. Now, we don't x-ray babies, but we do consultations and exams with babies. But we sit down and we listen to your story, and we walk you and or your child. So it's not only kids that we take care of whole families, but we go through the health history. And then we're going to do a full neurospinal exam and take full digital spine x-rays. The total cost of that is just $68. Your second step, because we have a 3-step process in our office, that's the first visit. The second visit, we will go over what we found. And if appropriate, we'll recommend that we give the first adjustment, the first corrective care adjustment. That cost is $60. After that, the 3 steps. So that's first, second step. Now we're at the third step. That we would go through a plan of correction. This is a big one. We walk through you or your child's x-rays in depth with you and your spouse, if applicable, but we'll lay out a personalized care plan and any financial options of what that's going to look like, including if there's any insurance coverage. And there's no charge for this visit. It's just clarity, understanding, and a next step that makes the most sense. Let's see what's happening to their nervous systems from the inside. I'm going to put that link right here in the chat for you guys. There we go. Perfect. Great. I posted it there in the chat for you. It's starting to. There we go. And if you are listening somewhere outside of Nashville, Tennessee, where we are, go to maxliving.com or px.com, either one, and find a doc that's closest to you, and they'll walk you through these same steps for you and your family. Now, I want to talk about a few other things. Some of you are already getting adjusted. I am going to implore that you stick to your adjustment schedule. Consistency is everything. Every adjustment creates safety in their bodies. It keeps the calm. It keeps it from staying on a gas pedal. So stick to your adjustments for you and your kids. Number 2, daily nervous system breaks. 15 to 30 minutes a day. No screens, no stimulation, just quiet, simple presence. Go on a nature walk. reading together under a weighted blanket, rocking or swinging, playing with kinetic sand or Play-Doh, listening to calm music or ocean sounds. Stillness isn't nothing. It's the nervous system's favorite environment to reset. 3, magnesium and Epsom salt baths 2 to 3 times a week. It helps the body detox, but it also calms muscle tension and it preps for better sleep. Add in calming essential oils like lavender for bonus relaxation. It's like this external adjustment to your nervous system and just slow, warm water. Number 4, simple breath work. Teach them to breathe through their nose, like they're smelling a flower, out their mouth, like they're blowing out a candle. Smell a flower, blow out like you're blowing out a candle. Do it together with them, especially during transitions of going one place to the other, doing something, then going and doing something else, or at bedtime. 4 seconds in, 6 seconds out, activates your parasympathetic calm in your nervous system. So breath is the brake pedal for the brain. Super important. Number 5, protect sleep like it's sacred. Set a consistent bedtime routine. Limit screens 90 minutes before bed. Use blackout curtains, white noise, and maybe even like a calming affirmation at bedtime. Your body is safe. Your brain can rest now. A prayer over their bodies that it would just be calm and safe into their nervous systems. Number 6, fuel the brain. Don't fight it. So cut the sugar, cut the food dyes. Add healthy fats like avocado, coconut oil, eggs, calming foods. Do you know there's calming foods? Blueberries, bananas, chamomile tea. Avoid all inflammatory foods that irritate the gut. So gluten, dairy, artificial, anything. The gut and brain are best friends. So when one's inflamed, the other reacts, vice versa. Number 7, create a safe sensory reset spot at home. A calm corner, you could call it. A soft chair, a weighted blanket, noise canceling headphones, maybe some fidget tools, some low lighting. This gives them a safe, empowered place to decompress before they may spiral. It's not a timeout, it's a sanctuary. Give them permission to be able to go do that to reset their nervous system. 8, grounding. Let them touch the earth. Barefoot in the grass, dig in the dirt, sit under a tree. It's not weird, it's regulation. When we touch the earth calms our systems back. And the last one, let them talk, even if it's repetitive. Repeating phrases and scripting like Luis would do and asking questions is often their way of processing stress and seeking safety. So be patient, stay present, reflect, calm on your end, because regulation starts with connection. If you haven't taken a screenshot of that, take a screenshot and a picture of that and start making a checklist of what that will look like, adding it in one by one. That's what I have for you guys. If there's any questions, I'll give about a minute and you can put them in the chat if you have any questions. But I want to thank you guys for being here tonight or watching this later on. I want to ask you though, if you know a mom or a parent's going through some of this, I share this, please. Not for my own, but for them. It could be the one thing that changes everything for their family. And because if the storm's been raging in a child for too long, Like if you've tried everything and you still feel like you're stuck, then maybe this is the moment where everything starts to shift. And I don't get to decide that, but I get to bring this out to you guys into the world to then hopefully help another Luis and another Amaya, and helping parents just be able to calm their own nervous systems by helping to have the tools that they need to take care of their kids. Okay. I'm not promising a cure, but I'm offering a path, one that's focused on hope, answers, and real healing from the inside out. And you don't have to do this alone. We can bring calm to the chaos and do it together. All right. We'll see you guys. Have a great night.